How to most effectively implement the flipped classroom instructional model by Jalen Brown. I am an ESL teacher and I teach adults, and I usually use a lot of technology in my instruction. So I decided to do some research and learn about the flipped classroom model, or at least learn more about it because I do use it to a certain extent. So I'm going to talk about that right now. The flipped classroom is an instructional model that was pioneered by two high school science teachers, John Bergman and Aaron Sams, in 2007. And they were inspired by Allison King's book, From the Sage on the Stage to the Guide on the Side. Bergman and Sams later wrote a series of books on the flipped classroom approach. The essence of the flipped classroom is about the best use of a teacher's face-to-face class time. It is to redirect the attention in a classroom away from the teacher and onto the learners and the learning. In order to do this, teachers must ask the question, which activities that do not require my physical presence can be shifted out of the classroom in order to give more class time to activities that are enhanced by my presence? The response to this question is to move the direct instruction piece, the lecture, into personal space where the students can consume them at their pace and at a pace that makes sense to them. Technology makes this much easier to do using videos, internet resources, mobile apps and devices, DVDs, and audio recordings. And books and printed materials still work just as fine as well. The effectiveness of the flipped classroom as an instructional strategy and approach is unquestionable. I have reviewed more than a dozen studies from all parts of the world, which all reported success in using the approach in comparison with the traditional direct instruction approach. It has been useful in all academic disciplines, including language learning, medical science and nursing, music, aeronautics, professional training, etc. I then wondered what is the most effective way to implement the FC approach, since there didn't seem to be any dispute that it was effective as an instructional approach. So, what I came up with are some specific ways to implement the flipped classroom approach. And first, I'll just mention some of the benefits of the flipped classroom. It offers personalized study with more freedom and flexibility for students, which can accommodate a student's individual learning style and rhythm. It allows for more student, teacher, and student-to-student interaction in the classroom. And it encourages autonomous learning. It also allows for more student-centered content and activities to be prepared by teachers. The students have increased responsibility and commitment to their own learning, and students are able to collaborate and interact with each other easier out of class through virtual collaborative networks and technology tools. The flipped classroom is dynamic and adaptable. It is evolving through research and classroom innovations. It is used and recognized internationally, and it serves as a meta strategy for transformation. So some specific things that teachers can do to get the most effective use out of a flipped classroom approach and there are 8 of these. The first is to enroll your student in the concept. Explain the approach to them, tell them why it's a good idea, and win their support. Answer their questions, address their concerns, and solicit their cooperation. You need their willing involvement in order for it to be successful. Number 2 is inform the parents. This is important because having parental support will make the approach more effective and the learning more successful. It will also mitigate any resistance that could arise from what parents will regard as an unfamiliar and novel way to teach. Number three, make sure the content is accessible. Since not all students may have computers, tablets, smartphones, etc., teachers need to make allowances for accessibility, such as using school resources, libraries, donations of private resources, and creating their own content, such as audio recorded lectures and DVDs. Number four, teach your students how to watch the videos and other home study materials that you use. Important in this is how to take notes from the content. Students need to know how to do this correctly and effectively. Learning from instructional videos is different than watching entertainment content. Number five, include a student accountability component, such as reviewing the notes they've taken on the out-of-class activities or requiring that questions be drawn from the materials for discussion in class. Students need to understand that the self-study activities are not optional, but are a part of the curriculum. Number six, limit the amount of time for self-study to that which is appropriate for the learner. Shorter videos work best, meaning less than 15 minutes. For extensive content, assign multiple short videos rather than one long one. Self-study time shouldn't exceed normal homework time. Number seven, give students as much flexibility as possible with the content. Some will prefer to watch videos and some to read text content. Offering choices makes the tasks more student-centered. And number eight, elicit feedback from your students about how things went at home. Try to make adjustments to address their concerns in order to increase their engagement and learning opportunities. Conclusion. The research has shown that implementing these 8 practices will make the flipped classroom approach more effective. In my own teaching practice, I have already begun to implement many of these as I use technology frequently in my instruction. However, it takes time and patience to find the proper balance of text, content, student time investment, and expectations to achieve an optimal effect. The flipped classroom has the potential to transform not only classroom pedagogy, but how education is perceived and conducted by aligning it with the new paradigm in communications and information transfer that we live with and that students have learned to be a part of. Thank you.